Hi, I'm Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Corinne.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
Hi, I'm Amber.
And we are Inclusion as One, making space for everyone
Together.
Welcome back to the Inclusion as One podcast. And today we are joined by Amber, Corinne, Danielle, and myself, Kelly. And we're going to take a little episode to speak about how to live in a more positive, hopeful way, reframing, and how we wade through maybe some struggle while finding a bit of a sense of humour, and really what just helps us keep the wheels on for everything that we are managing as STEM parents, women, human beings, victims of the environment that we're in. So I'm going to pick on you, Corinne. How's your week been? How was half term? How are you doing?
We went away to Haven. It went well, actually. I think I needed it. I think you get to a point where you're so engrossed with the everyday normal life of being in your house, the routine and that. You just need to step away, go away with the kids, do something different environment. I find caravans very, really, I love them. I love the feeling of being in a caravan. And the boys do too. And it was just a really lovely week. And yeah, we just went to Haven, had fun. And now I'm back to routine. And I think you worry, don't you, when it's half term, being out of that routine. So we try and make sure we're doing something every single half term. Because if you're not occupied, that's when it all goes to shit, basically. Sorry for swearing. It goes to crap. Oh,
Well,
no,
you've not got a routine anyway, have you? So you might as well go somewhere else and have a new one, because you've not got one anyway.
Exactly. And I think, especially this time of year, where the changes of the new school year come in September. Roman goes into year 2 in September. I didn't realise until pretty much a few weeks ago how intense it is for children to go from year 1 to 2. I didn't realise there was a big jump, but there is, and it's a lot more formal. So getting away, I think it really helped Roman as well. And I think he needed it.
Loved your pictures. Absolutely loved the picture of you walking with the boys. And I'm like, they're heading to, you can feel the excitement, can't you?
Yeah.
But I love a caravan. I like the installation of a caravan. I kind of like the acoustics of a caravan. You know where everyone is. You can sense. Yeah, Oscar loves it, but I really like the on the doorstep elements for me. I can pack my car up and be at a caravan site within half an hour. And as far as Oscar's concerned, we might as well be in Spain.
Yeah. And the good thing is, because it's Haven Camp, you feel like you're away.
Yeah, it's a bubble. Yeah, I love it. I loved it. We went Easter and I liked Haven. Oscar found the entertainment really overwhelming though. He was enjoying it on the edges. That monkey was a bit too excited for Oscar, whatever its name is.
Not a fan of George then.
No, but he just loved being in the caravan and having the doors open with the breeze blowing. He liked the swimming. I stuffed my face in the Burger King. I had everything. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a certain amount of structure to a caravan park, don't you think? With the set times.
Yeah.
And all of that. It's very high, isn't it? I love them. We're going soon. We're going to one in Essex in the summer. Mersey Island. I don't know if anyone's been there. Apparently it's very nice. Nice beach. What about you, Danielle? What have you been up to? How was your half term? Are you still on it?
Yes,
You get the
still on it. So Tommy's school do 2 weeks, May and June, because they tag all the teacher training on. We haven't done much. Tommy doesn't cope really with going many places. My mum's got a holiday let, so we've been down there for a couple of days. And then really just into town. And Tommy's quite a homeboy. So I think for us, I always find, and I don't know if it's the same for you girls, the last 2 weeks of term is really difficult. They get into the end of term, they're quite tired. And then for us, it takes a good week of being on half term to get into a non-school routine. And then it takes a good 2 weeks once we're back. So we've just been going to the park, seeing family. Tommy loves the Entertainer and B&M, absolutely loves it. So we've gone there. He spent some of his money because he gets pocket money now. So he gets really excited to be able to spend his own money, and just been doing bits and bobs indoors. Half terms are very much the same because he can't cope in soft play. He doesn't really like the zoos because of the smell and the busyness of places. We're quite restricted. So it's been quite boring in that sense, but it's been nice to see family. And just for us, although we need the structure, having no structure not no structure, but being able to go with the flows a bit easier. So you don't have that rigidity of we've got to get up, get ready for school. Tommy loves pajamas. He would go to school in his pajamas if we could. So for him, he loves it because he can just get up and be in his pajamas all day and be at home. He's a real homeboy. But other than that, we haven't done anything.
What
But it's
about
been
you,
nice just to
Amber?
be relaxing.
Yeah, good. And enjoy the rest. I mean, he's going back to school Monday, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And did you say they have another 2 weeks in June?
No, they have a week in May like everybody else, and then they have the first week of June. So
Okay,
his
May going
course
into
had
June.
the-
I was
yeah,
thinking
those
2
had
weeks in May and 2 weeks in June. Jesus, Oscar would love
No.
that.
But we've only just had the Easter half term. They're
Yeah.
very
No,
close
no.
together.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's too much. Just have them in
It
school
is.
all the time and make all the weekends
Okay, Lars, easy.
3-day weekend. I just
Yeah.
think scrap it and just have, even if Oscar was at home every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but the rest of the whole year he was in school, that'd be brilliant. What about you, Amber?
Yeah. Sorry, I've not even on this planet.
Rhodes is back in the system now, back in school.
Yeah, no, he's all right. And it's funny actually what Corin was saying about the jump from year 1 to year 2. Obviously, we're going to be doing the same transition, and I remember being really worried about the jump from reception to year 1 because that's a big jump, and I've been seeing a lot actually online about the reduction in play, and it switched to formal learning, and I don't do any play at all. And I kind of want to reassure people that I don't know. It depends on the school, I guess, but like in our experience, the way that it's happened for like with our situation is actually the increased structure actually really helped. So he actually really thrived on having that increase in structure and actually knowing where he was going to be every day rather than it being a bit of a free-for-all, because I think that actually was more stressful.
Chaos, yeah.
And two, they kind of do it like most schools do it in a very integrated way. They don't just turn up at year 1 and they're like, right, that's it, you're never going to play again. They tend to kind of introduce it quite gradually. So I wouldn't
Same
worry
with
about that too
Romans, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. And I'm hoping that's going to kind of be the same. I think the biggest jump really comes from the expectations on the kids. I don't think it's necessarily they're going to be doing loads of formal learning, because in my experience, they tend to do quite a lot of that in year 1 anyway. I think a lot of it is more, they're now the biggest in that key stage. So they're the grown-up ones in that little key stage. And I don't know about anyone else's school, but like the way ours is done, that key stage, is it key stage 1? No, what
Key stage 1, yeah.
Key stage 1 is sort of split from key stage 2, like complete, like quite like literally split. So they're like the bigger kids, and then I think the expectations really change, and I think developmentally they go through quite a lot anyway between the ages of 6 to 7, and I think the gap widens for children who aren't as emotionally mature, or maybe developmentally they're just not at the same level. And I think when you've got children like ours that, they're neurodivergent, but they're in a mainstream setting. And I mean, we've had a really good experience like with our EHCP, and everything's been quite positive after quite a difficult start, but now everything's quite positive. I think it's almost that apprehension of like, oh, now I've got to get to know a new teacher again. Now I've got to get to know new classrooms again. What's going to change? Are things going to stay the same? Is there going to be changes in structure? And I think that's more where I'm at with that. But no, other than that, we've been fine. We had a really busy Easter, like super busy. We went to Cornwall at Haven, and had a really lovely time. Everything was great. But this half term, actually, it was really nice to just do nothing. So literally, I think we didn't even do any big days out. We chilled, went swimming, went park, and just kind of done a soft play, I think, one day, and just mooched, and it was really nice.
It was mega. I don't know why I do this, because normally I would be away. Normally I would make sure that I was not in the UK, obviously, for February half term and probably Easter or the May one, and Euro Disney or Spain or somewhere like that. Obviously, being on my own now, it's not as easy to arrange somebody to come with me. So I thought, right, I've got to structure the week. So I did this crazy stupid thing by filling the diary out. So like Monday we met a friend at a wildlife park. Tuesday we met someone. Wednesday we went to the paddling pool. Thursday we were doing something. Friday we were doing something. And then I got to the weekend and I was like, oh crap, I need to clean my house.
Yeah.
Like, but Oscar's so used to being busy because he wants to go everywhere, and he doesn't necessarily want the toy shop or anything that costs money, but he wants to just
Yeah.
be outside. So we've been on a pier, he's been paddling, we went in the paddling pool, we went to the soft play, he's been to a trampolining club. Lots of really lovely things that take time to plan because we meet other people, and we've had lots of socialising. A local dad who's a single dad who brought his daughter around, and they actually played quite parallel, which, you know, she's the same age as Oscar but looks years older because he's tiny. But I texted them and just said, because they live opposite the park we were going to, we're going to be at that park, because I didn't want him clocking me out the window and thinking, rude. I told her to let me know. So I just let him know and just said, we're going to be at the park. But then what happened while we were at the park was his little girl decided she wanted to come back to our house, which is really massive for her because she doesn't normally want to go anywhere. But it clashed with Oscar's tea time. And I didn't want to be rude. So I was like, look, I need like a 15-minute window here to like feed him and stuff. And it just so happened he had to go home and get something anyway. So that was really nice. And then over the weekend, we have spent some time with George. I went to the garden centre. I'm addicted to buying plants. I bought a giant poppy at the weekend. Planted that when I got home. What else? Loads of stuff. But just going back to the school thing, obviously I've got 2 adult children. One's 23, one's 18, and they've been through the entire school mainstream. One is an undiagnosed, one is neurotypical. And all of them transitions, I think people overlook how hard the kids have to work, regulate and be flexible, whether they've needs or not. School is actually a really huge deal because they get used to friendship groups, routine, and then all of a sudden, with no warning, no phase out, it's all gone. You're not in that class no more. You've not got that teacher you like. Your friends are different. And so I had 2 different experiences. All I went to one of the biggest primary schools in my area, which had over 500 children.
Wow.
Lorcan went to a village school that only had 8 kids in year 6. 8 kids.
So really different.
So very different. And Orla went on to obviously study at Italia Conti, which is additional learning. And then Lorcan, literally yesterday, he's just had his last A-level. He has left school now. He don't go to school no more, ever. And then I've got completely the opposite, where Oscar is still, he's going into secondary this year, still on P levels, not accessing any of the curriculum. Couldn't give a hoot about learning. He's there for the vibes. He's only there for the vibes. So our school experiences have been crazy, but what they have all had is the same emotional journey, which is having to phase out certain things, having to build emotional resilience, having to cope with change, and having to cope with the brain ain't stopping, is it? You can get on and get off, but it's not stopping. And also, can I just say, girls, really enjoy it because you'll blink and there'll be school leavers. It goes so quick. After you're talking, Amber's talking about the transition from year R and year 1 to year 2, but the big transition is year 3.
Yeah.
They're going in the juniors.
Tommy's going into year 3.
That's
in
the
September,
first
and I'm
half.
dreading it.
That's the first half of primary done because 4, 5, and 6 goes so quickly, and then you're looking at different. You know, it's where we have to obviously pull on our reframing, isn't it, as parents? I always think, you know, although a lot of transitions for Oscar are really bittersweet because we haven't hit the milestones,
Yeah.
I do always try and take a glimmer from that. And I just think, well, actually, meet him where he's at. This time last year, he's made huge leaps. It might not be comparable to everyone else, but actually in his own self, you know, a year ago, he wouldn't even wear shoes. You know, start where you're at. But I always say to myself, it's one more step along the world we're going.
Yeah.
You know, because he's going to secondary school in September and he's not even aware of it. He's not, you can't have those conversations with him about you're going to be in big school, you're going to be the big boy, you know, because he's too busy this morning, absolutely fascinated by when he wiggles his legs, his knees move. Because he's got shorts on. He thinks it's great. He's got knees now. Do you know what I mean? He was doing the knee dance. That's where we're at. So I think it's all about, I suppose, having some, you know, we carry all of that, don't we? All that emotional journeys. We lay awake at night, little worries about whether they're going to eat their lunch or is anyone going to include them in playtime? And
that's
all
literally, it's mad because, and I haven't said it before, like Caleb's in a specialist setting, Booms in mainstream. Caleb's needs, I'd say, are more, he's got more delays developmentally, but I worry more about Roman.
Yeah.
because of the emotional side and because he is emotional. And I feel really bad actually, because I was hoping on Roman going into year 2, but actually Caleb's going into year 3 in September. Kelly, you clicked to light on then when you said year 3. I was like, oh gosh, yeah, Caleb is. But obviously because he's in a specialist setting, it's so different. Like there's no year 1, year 2. He's been in the same class Buttercup for 3 years now, and he's had the same teacher for 3 years.
I love that.
And because he's turning 8 in October, he's going to move up because they've got these little kids and he's like this. And because he's obviously progressing and his age, and that is actually I'm petrified because
Some of the
he
kids,
loves his teacher. Like she's like family to him and his best friends are in there. But I know that he's going to be fine.
just do what I do, Corinne. Keep people. Every single person that I've not wanted to say goodbye to for Oscar, that we've had to move away from, I keep.
Right,
I
give me
pop
your
in, I
number.
say hello, I buy a flower, I buy a little chocolate at the end of term, I go and give them a little hug. Because I want them to still, Oscar's bubble and his world isn't very big. And I don't want to lose people. We might not be in the same room anymore, but sorry, we know you now. So if I see you in Sainsbury's, I'm running after you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm terrible. I swear the whole world is full of people hiding from me.
Mm-hmm.
When we used to go for a walk, Brendan used to say, this is ridiculous. You know everyone. Can't you just put your head down and keep walking? How rude is that? I'm like, listen, I like people. But you know what, Corinne? The boys will be fine. You know, Oscar's going to be going into secondary school and I'm not going to worry about it because I've learned to kind of, I think, learning to live in a positive way has been a real journey for me.
This is the thing. You've got to, ain't you? I think as soon as, I mean, I know we all feel, you know, there's hard moments here. You can't deny that. But
Yeah.
I always feel like if I'm homing in on them, myself, and I'm worrying too much about them, it just affects my
Just
energy,
remove
everyone around
demands.
me. And you
Yeah.
can't change things that might happen.
No.
I think you can, you know, think positively and go,
live in the now, live in the now and celebrate the moment, because if you don't, you miss a hell of a lot of glimmers.
yeah.
You know,
And as
I'm not
long as
gonna worry.
you know, as long as you're supporting them, which we all do, and being there every step of the way, everything will be fine.
I think it's about equity, isn't it? If you look at their setting and you go, do you know what? Have they got the learning resources that they need? Can they access what they enjoy? So I'm worried about levels and targets and all that, because not being funny, I'm 50 in a couple of years. No one's ever asked me to prove my GCSE.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know if it was just my year or whatever, but we had those bloody achievement folder things.
Yeah, this is
ever have I got that out since
No, where mine is.
2016? I don't. Yeah, mine's probably.
This is what we were told. This is the most, you know, teachers got it up here. This is the most important document in your life. Yeah. Well, sorry, mate, but there ain't even anything in mine. It's blank.
It's funny actually, because I don't think any like business has ever asked.
Yeah.
I want to see your qualifications. They just take your word for it, don't they?
I'm self-employed now, so I am going to confess something. But
Go on,
for
then.
about 15 years, and definitely the first 5 jobs that I had, I lied about my GCSE results, because I don't actually even have any GCSEs. I got 1D.
Yeah.
I painted my fingernails with Tipp-Ex in my history GCSE. In my maths one, I didn't even bother doing it because I didn't understand it. And I would literally stare at the ceiling, and then I would picture how I would have the room if it was a room. Like I would look at the gap and I would create scenarios. I'd be like, oh, I'd have the sofa there. You know, I was away with the fairies. Yeah, exams were not my thing at all, and so I didn't bother, and I got a D in my history GCSE. It must have been for coursework or something, which I wouldn't have done myself. I would have copied somebody else's or borrowed somebody else's, because I wasn't academic. I wasn't naughty, but I had too many other things to do. Like write poems, make daisy chains, make friends, have conversations, make up dances, do people's hair. It was a very social experience for me, school. Really was. But yeah, no, I didn't live with any GCSEs, and I did used to lie about them because I was embarrassed. I never went high. I never went, oh yeah, I got
A stars and everything.
you know, 5 8 stars. I would be achievable. I would say, oh, you know, I got 4 Ds and an E, or something that was believable. Not anything too good they would question.
Yeah.
But the reality is I didn't get any. I think my brother did very well in his GCSEs, but he's quite academic. And even now, you have a conversation with my brother and he knows stuff. He knows facts about the world. He knows things. He goes out of his way to find. He's like, oh, that's interesting. He likes to learn. I don't. Not about stuff that I don't need to know about. Like if you had a conversation about Egyptians, he know loads. I just feel like my brain's already too full. I don't need any more information about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless it's something you're interested in.
Yeah.
What do you? Yeah, I mean, I do have special interests. You know, I don't know why, but I really like gardening. It's bad, isn't it?
No.
I like
Yeah,
gardening.
It's good.
I like history. I like finding out about periods of history. I know you love that, Corinne. Yeah. So, what do you? I mean, obviously, I'm not living in denial, but I do live hopefully. I live in a hopeful way. I always like to feel like I could hopefully be better. How do you manage it? Because obviously we do carry a lot.
It's a really hard question to answer, isn't it? Like, how do you
Take one day at
It's
a time.
friendships, isn't it? And
Yeah.
sharing.
Friendship.
surround yourself with people who are in your space? That's one hard thing I've learned. I think I went for so many years of like people pleasing and just feeling like it don't matter who they were and what they were like. I just wanted friendships, and they always ended rubbish, or they always made me feel uncomfortable. And if I think going with the flow, I just know that once you're around, once you surround yourself with people who understand what it's like raising a 10
And also, I feel like, I don't know
understand
about
your
you,
energy.
definitely over the last year I've learnt to be on my own.
Yeah.
I actually don't get lonely. I am lonely. In my soul, I'm lonely, right? But that's because I know our journey is unique and no one can ever really know what that actually really feels like. And I've always been very aware of who I am. Like, I know I'm annoying. I know I talk too much. I know I've got an annoying voice. I know I spend too much money. You can't call me out on anything because I just go, yeah, I know. And I'm all right with
It's
it.
what it is.
Yeah, like this is me. I'm all right with it. Yeah, but I have learned to be on my own in terms of longer term stuff. But I try not to take life too seriously, really, because when you've got kids like Oscar, when it's bad, you know about it. It can go bad quite quick, right? So the rest of the stuff that's not bad, it's just all right. Like, what about you, Daniel? Because obviously you manage long-term conditions, don't you? And, you know, how do you balance what's your head weather?
It's hard. I spent a lot of years being angry at the world. I spent a lot of years wanting to fix things. And I think that we can all get stuck into that. Whatever you've got going on, you want to fix it, or ultimately you have to accept the situation you're in. And until you have acceptance yourself, and I think as humans, we seek acceptance from other people. It's just how a lot of us are built. But until you accept things yourself, I've accepted I will never be pain-free. I've had to accept that I'm on morphine probably for the rest of my life. And at 33, that's not ideal. I've accepted I can't do things other people my age can do, and that's really hard. And I think it just got to a point where I thought I was too tired of fighting it. Like, there are some things you can fight and change, or you can fight and make better, or you need to fight. But there are other things that are just futile. And I was just so fed up of being miserable. I shut myself away for a long time. I didn't go out. I was ashamed of, why couldn't I do this? I got diagnosed at 24. And I was like, well, you go through the whole, it's like a grieving process, I think. And it's like with Tommy, I have the same with him, because the goals with Tommy's EHCP, and he has a personal development plan, the targets he was set, and I'm not talking the big outcome targets, I'm talking about the smaller ones, the ones that he was set in reception. We're going into year 3 in September and he still hasn't met those. We can't break him down anymore. He's met some of them, don't get me wrong, he's met some of them, or, he has grown in ways. And it used to really eat me up, and I used to think I've failed him as a mum, I haven't done enough, what should I be doing? I was always looking for what more can I do, and it's still really hard. I haven't got it down to a T now, either with Tommy or with myself, but I think you have to cut yourself a lot of slack, because you drive yourself mad. And I know for myself, I was like, I'd get to points where I'd be in tears, up at night in tears, and I'd be like, I've failed him, I'm not a good mum. If I was, I'd be able to make this right, or my body's failed me. And then I had to stop and think, okay, I can't do the gardening like I used to be able to do it, but I can do this instead. And it's reframing it. Yes, I live in severe chronic pain, and if it wasn't for morphine, I would be bedbound. I wouldn't be able to even get out of bed because the level of pain's so bad. I dislocate on a, weekly. I dislocate my joints weekly, but I had to kind of reframe it and think, I've got something that can help me. It doesn't cure it. It doesn't fix it all, but it helps. And actually, my problems are the biggest problems for me because they're my problems. And when you get to a certain headspace, you can sit and think, actually, this is really shitty. It's not good, but I'm so fortunate because of X, Y, and Z. So I'm really fortunate I've got all you girls. Any one of us has an issue, whether it's we're upset, whether we're frustrated, whether we need someone to vent to, whether it's the milestone our children have reached, whatever it is. We come in and everybody lifts each other up. We're all there for each other. And also, somebody's always got it worse. It's not that you should compare yourself, but I'm at a stage now in my acceptance journey where I can sit and think, okay, Tommy's got the struggles he has, but look at where he is compared to where he was. He was non-verbal until 4, completely non-verbal. I never thought he was going to speak. There's not an issue if your children can't speak or if adults are non-verbal, but you have to look at the little bits and try and find joy in those. And it is really hard to do. But I think when you surround yourself with positive people, and I don't mean people that are just positive all the time and don't acknowledge or sit with you in the hard times, but when people are there because they genuinely want to be there, that makes the difference. And I think we've got something really, really unique. And I know I've said it before, but we're all there for each other. Nothing's competitive. Nothing, well, why are you complaining because I've got it worse? Or, well, you said you've had a really bad day. But you know what we've been? You're not made to feel less than. And that's what you need to find. You need to find your people where you're all equal. You're all on different journeys. You're all on different parts, but you're collectively all equal. You all respect each other and you're all there to help each other.
Respecting that how I experience that might not be how you experience it because you're the different to me. Like, not being funny, Danielle, and I'm going to big you up now because I think that if I lived with a chronic pain condition, right, I would be the vilest person in the world, right? If I was in pain all the time, I would not be able to keep control of it. I'd be telling people to, I would be awful, right? And I think like what you have done is because this is your personality, you're quite placid, considerate of other people. What you've done is you have fully accepted that you have a long-term pain condition, but you've made friends with it. Because you've gone, do you know what? All right, you're not taking anything away from me. What you've given me is this set of capabilities, and I'm working within it to its best. I'm not looking at it like I'm losing anything. I'm going, right, okay, these are the things that I can do with what I've got, and I'm making the best of it. Because if it was me, I'd be in bed screaming my head off. I was
for a long time like that though, so it didn't happen overnight for me. Like, I want to stress that because how I am now isn't how I was.
Yeah, but you're very young. You're literally like
a
preschool child compared to me. Can I just say as well, like I've got a very different approach with Oscar. I removed the demands and all the rest of it. If Oscar was my first child, that would not be the case because the neurotypical parent, remember I've got 2 parenting journeys. Yeah. The neurotypical parent, oh my God, I'd hate myself. I was so precious. I'd worry about a bow in the hair, a lunchbox being a certain thing. Has she at her dinner? Is anyone playing with them? Not really aware of actually real parenting problems. So I've learned the hard way with Oscar, but I think it's because I had him at 35. I'd already been a parent for 11 years when I had Oscar. But if he'd have been my first, I'd have been totally different. And I think you are really managing something very complex, and I think that you are doing it admirably actually for yourself and Tommy. So because if it was me, I'd be in bed screaming just because I would feel it was unfair. And and you've actually gone, it's not taking anything away from me. Actually, what is it giving me? And that's what I'm going to work with. So I just think it's brilliant. What about you, Amber? Your turn. what are your reframing go-tos? What do you do to reframe things? I think you're very patient, Amber. I think you're
100%. I try and be. I never used to be. This is something I think a bit similar to you. I've had to kind of learn that because, yeah, when I first became a parent, I had a very specific idea of what kind of parent I was going to be. And that wasn't the case. And I think this is something I still struggle with a little bit now, is I wasn't aware of how monotonous it is being a parent and how much of yourself gets lost. And this is, we're all laughing because this is what I've had this week.
Yeah.
Kind
Can
of
I
what-
just say though, it will come back to you in their teenage years because all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm dealing with myself. This is
Yeah.
payback.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Like, for me, like, you know, there's that whole thing of like, you lose your pink and then you find your pink again. And I feel like a lot of the people I had, you know, who had kids at the same time as I did, you know, by the time the little ones, you know, 2, 3, they're feeling like themselves again. And it's like, I'm 6, like, no, I'm not 6, my son's 6. And I'm still trying to like get a bit of myself back. And I think the truth is, I think I'm so altered from who I was because I've got a completely different circle around me now, completely different life. Like, there's a lot of people that were in my life when I had my son who are no longer in it. That's like 2 completely different people. Yeah, there has been a lot of work done. I've done a lot of self-healing. I think at the moment, like in this, I think I'm on now a different path. Like, I feel like I had to kind of do that to kind of go on a different path, and now I'm going into something very different because I'm going down like a new education journey and I'm doing lots of different things in this kind of, because I've now kind of, I'm 99.9% I'm not going to be having any more kids. I think we are one and done. And again, I think that's something that, because I wasn't sure, I've almost held myself back a bit and thought, oh, there's no point doing that because I'm going to have another child. And now I'm like, actually, I don't think that's going to happen. So I think I'm just going to roll with what I'm doing now. And part of me thinks, is that selfish? But then I think, is it more selfish to introduce another kid when I'm not 100% sure that's an entire human into what we've got? I feel like I've gone on 10 different tangents there. But yeah, like before, I would say, yeah, I very much was in kind of, had him, found it a lot harder than I thought I was going to. Then it was very apparent, like, okay, my kid's doing different things to other kids. And is it me? Am I the problem? Is it because, I think for me, I always, and I don't know if this is like a symptom of being childhood diagnosed and kind of growing up at a time where disability was framed very differently to how it is now. I grew up always feeling very incapable, and that was always a theme. And like, that's not so much about anyone saying it to me directly, because that's not happened at all. But I think it's about the way that I was perceived and about the way that I perceived certain things. Because of that, by the time I had my child, like, I was very much like, I'm incapable, I'm not good enough. And this whole kind of I'm not a good mum thing has kind of been a thread. You know, that's kind of ran through things. And I'm going to try and talk about it. It's about kind of, yeah.
Oh, do you know what?
No,
We all
so
do think
always.
that though. We all do
Yeah.
think that. We all do
Yeah.
think, if I can't cock this up, and there
Yeah.
might be a chance here
Yeah. I think
that
this is
I
it, like,
am gonna, you know, when I brought Orla home from the hospital, I was 24, and I looked at her and I was like,
I was 26.
shit, who's in charge now? Like, it
Yeah.
I felt like I'd
I'm in
stolen her.
charge of this human.
I
Yeah.
was like, who's actually said that I'm allowed to like look after her and like all on my own? It's like, it doesn't feel like I want a certificate or something. Like,
Yeah.
caution. It doesn't feel right. I felt like I'd
Is
stolen
that
her.
neurodivergent? Is that us being neurodivergent? And because I know Kelly's not out, like, you're not diagnosed or anything, but we've kind
Yeah,
of
we know
accepted
she's-
you're one of us. One of us.
We don't
Yeah,
accept.
it just felt overwhelming and too big of a responsibility.
Or is it
I
just
even
that
felt
people
that
who
when
go
I
through
bought a
that?
dog once. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think
you
it's
know
because
what?
you're
I felt
going
like that with my cat.
I've got a dog. Like, who's let me have a dog? Like, I haven't ever managed to keep a plant alive. Do you know what I mean?
No, but is this something to do with, we view ourselves as kind of less than because we're neurodivergent and because we've grown up, like, obviously I'm the only one that's childhood diagnosed, all three, like, obviously Kelly's undiagnosed and Corinne and Danielle have had like adult diagnoses.
Yeah.
So I think all of us have had that experience of not feeling good enough. And I think and this is kind of what I was going back to my healing thing, like those messages we receive as kids, they stay with us forever. Like, there's so much research into this. Who's that? Is it Gabor Mate? Gabor, I can't pronounce his name. Gabor Mate, and Louise Hay. I forgot her name then. And Louise Hay, and there's been so much research and scientific studies done on this about how we process things and what we call trauma. And actually, trauma isn't always the most horrific things that can happen to a person. Sometimes it's something quite small, but it's domino effects, and it can make us perceive the world and also ourselves in a certain way. And I think growing up feeling not very good enough, and then you become a parent, and then your child is your only child, and you've got nothing else to compare it to. So it's not like you're like, oh, hang on, I know that's not me because I've got 6 other kids and they're all fine. It's this is my one child, and I remember going, oh God, it's me. He's not doing this because I'm not doing enough. He's not talking because I'm not doing enough, or I'm not taking him out enough. And I was very much like, as soon as I could, we was at baby groups, and it was almost like I was always trying to prove that I was a good mum. And I'm saying it like that because I had this arbitrary view of what a good mum was. And I think it was only when he was about 2, and I remember there was a day we'd gone into town and it was just me and him. At most, I'd say 99% of my time was just me and him up until he started school. It was always just me and him because my husband at the time was working lots of weekends and doing lots of things and working sort of all over the place, and so it was us two a lot of the time. And I remember I taking him to town. We got into like a Gales bakery thing, most overpriced bakery in the world. And he had been not even bad. Like he was 2. I can't be bad at 2, but do you know what I mean? Like he had just sort of run around and like just one of those days. One of them days with a toddler, and you're like, oh my God, like I really struggled with him as a toddler. And I remember getting home and just feeling like all I've done today is moan at him and feeling so guilty, and like feeling like, oh God, why have I, what am I doing? And I had to almost give my head a wobble and go, he's different, he's different. You either accept this and just go with it and go with him, or you're going to hurt both of you by trying to mould him into something that he's not. So I think I was almost like, now I look back at it, I was masking on behalf of both of us. So not only was I masking, because at the time I didn't really know what my autism meant. This was like before I deep dove it and I started talking about it. So this was pre all of that. And, we'd go to baby groups and like he would do something that most 2-year-olds would do. Most 2-year-olds will snatch a toy. Most 2-year-olds will hit, whoever. But I was almost like overcompensating all the time for like, don't look at me like a failure. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it was, I remember just sitting in the car one day and like I say, we'd had that day where he'd gone to a baby group and something had happened or someone had made a comment, and I sat in the car and I was like, I'm literally masking for both of us and it's not fair on both of us. So, yeah, I think that was the great kind of reframing that I had to kind of go through, and that all kind of started, my life hit a really low point. Like it was lockdown, and I got made redundant and I got this night shift job at Sainsbury's and I fucking hated it, and it was awful. And no disrespect to Sainsbury's, but yeah, it just wasn't great. It was, just not great. It wasn't where I wanted to be. I was like, fuck, like what's going on? And I was actually listening to loads of stuff because you could listen to music or like audio books and things. Like you could have headphones in and do, like we were packing up the online orders. And I just went through loads of self-development books. And I'm not saying they work long term. I'm not saying like, they replace therapy or anything like that. They don't. But I think they really taught me to view things differently. And don't get me wrong, it's an ongoing thing. Like we all kind of laughed when I started talking because I've had a bit of a week where I've struggled to do that. So I think I've needed today because I have struggled to reframe things today. I've had a situation occur and it's very easy to spiral back downwards if you're not careful. And I think a lot of that is about, there's a phrase, it's like new level, new devil. So like when you hit a new level of like self-development, or you hit a level in healing or whatever you want to look at it as, you have to combat a new devil to get to the next level. Does that make sense? Lots of rhyming.
I think that you're really good at Amber, though, going, stop, where am I at?
Yeah.
How do I feel? How am I going to react?
Yeah.
You've learned how to do that. I wish I could.
That's been a lot of work.
Because I feel like you're really good at being reflective in the moment and going, if I do that, that's going to be the outcome. So I'm just going to stay in the middle and have a little think about it. I wish I was more like that. But I wanted to ask you, you were saying about the feeling of when you were younger, not feeling good enough. For me, I think that it's more, for me anyway, it's more about, I don't know whether or not it's that I didn't feel good enough. I felt like I was maybe surrounded by people that were different, and I felt like I didn't fit. I don't think it was that I didn't feel I was good enough, but
You feel
my
you didn't
family,
fit in.
like, because I used to talk a lot when I was little, they
No.
I'm not surprised.
they used
Really?
to ban me from
Wow.
talking for certain amounts of time.
That's
So my
sad.
dad used to be like, "You are doing my head in, right?" And we would be walking, and I'd be like, "Yeah, but why do you think people named the colours the colours? Because if you look at blue, you think about blue, but who decided it was going to be blue?" At points, I think my dad might have been tempted to run out in front of a car because I just wouldn't stop, and I would draw breath when we left home, and then I would talk the whole way. But I think it was me. That's how I was able to manage the transition from about dogs. I was terrified of dogs, so I'd be anxious about, is a dog going to walk around the corner? Is it going to bark? Because I was terrified of them, and so I would talk the whole time. But in the end, my parents used to be like, "You're doing my head in now, right? For the next 20 minutes, you're not allowed to say anything," and they would ban me from talking. I never made it. I'd made it like 2 minutes. Me landmarks and say, right, until we get to the end of this road where that lamppost is, you're not allowed to say anything.
See, the worst thing is, I can almost see their point of view on that, and it's making me feel really guilty because I get so overstimulated by, because mine doesn't talk. He reenacts certain noises, like he's going to be a voiceover actor, or like one of them special effects voice people, because he can
Great money
hear
in
a
that.
sound.
Go for it.
No, but he can hear a sound and then do it with his voice. It's the weirdest thing. And he does it with like the tube, and it sounds like the tube. It's not just him going, woo. It actually, like, everyone has commented that actually sounds like the tube. I'm like, I know, it's mental. And so he'll make these noises. One of them at the minute is there's a certain part of the M25, if you know, you know, and it's like concrete. So it's not like normal tarmac, it's concrete. So when you drive over, it goes,
It changes.
it does that the whole way. Loves that noise. So the whole way to school, the whole way to school, it's and I'm like, and I have to kind of really hold it in. And there's some days, especially if he's been up in the night, or like I'm really tired or whatever, and I'm like, baby, not today. Mummy can't do it today. Not today. And I have to try and word it that like he's not the problem, it's me. So I go,
Yeah.
oh, Mummy's ears are really sore today. Like, can we? Poor Mummy's ears, they need looking after. Like, and I have to try and word it to him like that. But there are some days I'm like, babe, can we just not?
But Oscar don't give a shit. Oscar doesn't understand that. He
Oh
don't
no,
care.
see, he goes, yeah, okay, Mum, and then
Yeah. No,
so
Oscar
it doesn't
doesn't
really
care.
go in.
I mean, Oscar's misophonia is really bad. He can hear electric.
Yeah.
He can hear the neighbour 2 doors down mowing his grass, even if the door's shut. He wants the birds to stop singing in the sky and the wind to stop blowing. But he, as a single unit, is the
It's so
loudest
noisy.
possible thing you have ever
Always the
experienced
way.
in your
Why
life.
is it always like that though? Because Tommy's the same.
And
He's so loud, but he doesn't like loud. And I'm like, you are the loudest child I know.
You are the loudest person in
But
the room.
it's when but my mum always said, they always used to, well, they still do, call me a foghorn, because they've always said I'm so loud, I don't shut up. My granddad used to say, like, you've got more than what the cat licks its backside with and things like that. They'd be like, you talk the balls of a
I've
brass
never heard that one.
monkey. No, they'd come out with weird things, but they always said you're a foghorn, and I'm like, I'm not loud, I'm not shouting. But I suppose I am compared to others. And like Tommy's the same, and I think, but my mum will say to me, if she's eating, like, and I know it's different with eating, but like eating a pack of or anything, I'm like, do you mind? That's so noisy. And she's
My
like, have
sister
you
does
heard yourself? And I think I do think that's a neurodivergent thing though,
My
because
mum
we
was
can't
really bad
stand
with that.
noise, but we're noise, if that makes sense.
My
Think
mum was
you-
really bad with that. She'd hate, you know, even if people breathed heavy or like, you know, like when you eat, she was like
Yeah.
really like, don't open it, because she'd hate the sound. Now I'm like that. If Luke's like, and I'm sitting next to him, I'm like, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's very like, when I'm feeling more overstimulated, I can tell, because everything just feels 100. Like yesterday, I was really struggling yesterday in the afternoon, and Hugo, in his normal tone, which is quite loud anyway, usually I'm like, okay, I can deal with that, but it just felt like it was
going through
and
your
you know how like explained, like, it feels like someone's actually like punching you in the face.
Yeah.
It physically feels like that, and it's just really interesting. But
Which on the senses.
what you said then though about like the kids being not liking loud noises but being the loudest in the room. If we reframe that, we're the same. We're the same.
I know.
They
This is the
must think
thing.
the same about us. They must think, oh
Yeah.
my God, like, shut up.
This is
Yeah.
the thing, isn't it? And that is
interesting.
why, my nan used to call me the news of the world. And the problem is, if I think about my own behaviour, I'm quite nosy. I'm not a gossip, but I'm quite nosy. I'm interested in people. I want to know. And then when my kids tell me, I'm like, oh, do they know you're talking about that? And I just think, you hypocrite. You are a hypocrite.
See, I'm like, what's the tea?
Yeah, but I think we've all shared, haven't we, how we reframe stuff. And I think just to be serious as we finish off this episode, to be serious is that we do all have a voice. We do enable each other to have a voice. And it's really important to use the voices we've got in a positive way. I'm pretty sure people don't want to come on my social media and listen to me moaning about how bad my life is. I don't mask, but I choose to live in a hopeful, positive way. If people look over the fence and think she's lucky, she's got a brilliant life, whatever, they are basically ignoring all the work. I feel like anyone you ever deem as being lucky has done a lot of work on themselves or whatever that you didn't see. So it's really important to be mindful of that, because social media isn't always the whole picture. It's what I choose to bring, because it's how I choose to use our voice to help other people. And that's it. There are some elements of my life that you definitely wouldn't want, but I'm not going to air those because they're private. So I just think, to finish off, it's about using the voices we've got for good, isn't it? Being responsible.
Giving that positive energy equals positive outcomes, and
and
sharing that.
Is it positivity on my part, though, or is it a detachment from real life? I'll leave that one up to you.
I think there's anything wrong with living.
I'll save that one for another episode.
Look, I live a bit delusional. If I want to do something, I just do it and then work it out. And I think, that's just sometimes how you got to do it. Otherwise, one of my biggest regrets, I spent all my time when I was single, child-free, living independently, had lots of disposable income, worrying all the time about things that hadn't happened, might not happen, and holding myself back because I was like, oh, I better not do that because what if this? I better not do that because what if that? I now live very much like fuck it mentality, not like badly, not like, oh, I'm gonna get myself like in loads of debt, but like I'm very much in a like, well, fuck it, what's the worst that's gonna happen? No one's gonna die. Like, and that's how I look at it now. And I think, I just think life's too short. And even like, I'm starting my degree in October, and I'm denied about that for like 10 years. And I just thought, I'm going to let another 10 years go past and not done it. So fuck it, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And, I do that with a lot of things. So I think, like even the wedding, I booked a wedding on a complete and utter, like, fuck it, should you do it? Like, and that's just.
Yeah.
And it all worked out.
When I flew the children to the North Pole on a revenge holiday and got there and was like, shit, it's cold. Minus 15.
Yeah, maybe you should have gone to the Maldives.
We're not immortal. You have to do what you want in life. I choose to refuse the word no. I don't take the word no.
Yeah.
At all. Because no is definite and it's final, and it's nothing is ever a no. Really, is it?
No,
not really. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about scenarios, arrangements,
way around things, isn't there? Like,
there is. Of course, there is, and I don't accept.
Sometimes things aren't meant to be. Do you know what? There's a really good. I don't know if it's a story or like what it's from, but I always refer back to it. If anyone knows who wrote this, obviously, let me know and I'll tag it. But it's like a little, not a proverb. That's the wrong word. It's just like a little Tumblr story that someone's put up like years ago, and every now and again I see it, and it's a really good reminder. And it's about a guy with his dog. He's got a dog. The dog loves these peanut butter covered things, chocolate things, and obviously she's not allowed to have them because they'll make her sick. So he'll have this peanut butter thing, and the dog is literally begging, whining, wrapping herself around him, like doing the eyes, and he has to be like, no, you're not having that. And then she goes off and she looks at him all sad. And he was like, when I'm begging the universe for something and it's not happening, I really hope that's what the universe does. Like when they look at me and they think, it's okay, this isn't meant for you. And
this isn't meant for you right now.
And I'm trying to protect you. And if I find the post, I will share it on my stories.
Share it.
Yeah, I'll share it
Right.
because it's really good. We got to go.
Yeah, we've got to go. So
Gotta go for a
let's
swim.
just end on this. Trust. Not many people do trust me, but I'm asking you to trust me. It
We
is all
trust
going to be
you.
all right in the end. And if it isn't all right, then it isn't the end. I think
Yeah.
that's what I live by.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Who knows what the future may hold?
Exactly. Well, for me, lunch right now. Because I'm love
Thanks
you
for your
all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.